So you've DIY'd your brand in the past, it's time to rebrand, and you're thinking of hiring a professional brand designer, but you're not really sure when you should be hiring and outsourcing a designer for your business. Today, I'm breaking down 5 easy ways to tell that it's time to hire that professional brand designer. Hi and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kristen Fulci, the brand strategist, website designer, and commercial photographer for creative businesses. Today, I am breaking down 5 ways to tell that it's time to hire that professional brand designer. The very first way to tell is if you are seeing a discrepancy in your business. This is something we talked about a couple weeks ago with the brand clarity video, which I will link below if you missed that one. A discrepancy is when you're seeing a difference between your skill, the services or products that you're selling, and your brand. What happens a lot of times is that we start a company, we create a brand or a logo for most of us. We don't do the whole brand development thing. Just a simple logo, and then we put our services up for sale, whether that's on social media or our website. And then we start to realize, like, okay, we got to build up that skill. Okay, well, I'm selling, my photography services, so I need to get a little better. I'm going to purchase an online course. And you kind of like bump up that skill set, and then you're like, well, I really need a new lens so I can get that great bokeh effect. Okay, you bought the lens and you like bumped up your skill. You're like, well, okay, I've got to go to like a actual in-person workshop now because I'm going to get to work one-on-one with somebody that's going to teach me more about this. And you bump it up again, and then you're like, I need a full new camera now, like, because I don't know what I was shooting on before. And you get another, and you keep bumping. And we get to a big discrepancy because your brand, which was really just a logo from the beginning, stayed at this skill level where you entered in, where your photography was not the same as what it is now. Whether it's photography or it's, website design, or you're selling an actual product and through the years you've developed the recipe for that product, there is a discrepancy that you're seeing. You left the brand here, it never bumped it up. So it's like you moved your photography skill to level 8, you are crushing it, but your brand skill is still here at level 1. You need somebody to come in and bridge that gap for you to bring your brand up to the quality of skill that you're producing so that you can continue to sell to clients. A lot of times we bump up this skill because we really want those referrals. We want to impress those clients. So we keep bumping, and we don't realize that, yes, those people might be referring other clients to us, but they're seeing this old brand. So at some part, it gets so far apart that we're not able to convert people anymore. And so we see a decrease in sales. When that happens, there's a discrepancy, and it's time to hire that professional brand designer. So the second way to tell that it's time to hire a professional brand designer is you're just feeling overwhelmed. You have tried DIYing it in the past, you've used multiple programs, you can't figure out the programs. Even if you're semi-getting how to like add text or font or colors, like nothing is coming out the way that you want. When you hire a professional brand designer, they are taking your story, your brand, how you want people to feel, what you want them to perceive of you or of your brand. We're taking all of that and we're translating that into visuals. We're translating that into design. And that is why you have the professional brand designer, to help walk you through each step, to guide you so that you don't feel that overwhelmed feeling. We're walking hand in hand down this path, explaining to you everything, like what is an ideal client? What is a styled brand board? Why do you need it? Why do you have a primary, secondary, and a submark, and a favicon, and what are the differences, and why do I need any of that? Your brand designer is walking you through it all, so you don't feel that overwhelmed feeling. You don't have to download and pay for and learn 5 million programs. That is when you know it's time to hire the professional brand designer to walk you through it all. The third way to know that it's time to hire a professional brand designer is that you're simply wanting to charge more. You are tired of the DIY look that comes along with DIY prices. You want to be able to sell at a higher price point, whether that's your products or your services. You've tried to increase that price point in the past, but you're not able to convert. People say, oh, I don't know, it's a little pricey, I'm not too sure, and there's a mistrust, right? They're not sold on selling at that higher price point, so you may have bumped it back to lower. This is when it's time to hire a professional brand designer. Clients that have worked with me have been able to double their prices. They have been able to book 8 inquiry calls in 24 hours. Professional branding works. When we're doing professional branding, we are showcasing your brand on a professional level. We are up-leveling everything that you currently have, making sure that people are feeling exactly what we want them to feel, making sure that we are having them perceive you in a certain light, that we're bringing all of that on through into design, and that we're giving you this guideline and playbook to continue to walk through business with. So you know exactly who you're speaking to every single time, how you're speaking to them, what colors and fonts to use, what emotions you're looking to evoke, like the whole deal in a PDF to walk with you. Having this entire foundation, making sure that you create that consistent brand, which is the key that we talked about in our very first video on what does a brand really mean, which I'll link here below. Having all of that allows you to charge more and actually convert at that price, to where you're not just getting inquiries at that price that drop off, but that you're booking them as solid clients, right? Or as actual sales in your cart, whether you're selling themes or downloadables, templates, any of those things, you're getting to sell them at a higher price point because your brand is reflecting that. The fourth way to tell that it's time to hire a professional brand designer is simply that you don't have time. You are booked with clients. So if you are a wedding photographer, you have multiple weddings coming up, engagement sessions, couple sessions, senior sessions, anything that you're doing, and you're booked, and you don't have time to try to DIY this entire thing on the side. You can, right? Anybody can. Anybody can create a website, but it's going to take you a really long time. And you have to say, is it worth it? Because in that span of time, you're not working with clients, and then you're producing a result that's okay, and it can get you by, but it might not be converting. It might not allow you to sell at that higher price point, and in the end, you might actually be losing money on that DIY brand. If you are stressed for time, you can't learn all these programs, you're booking, you're making money. It's time for an investment. It's time to outsource that part. So when you're finding that you don't have that time, that's when it's time to hire a professional brand designer. The fifth and final way that you can tell that it's time to hire a brand designer is if you're just starting out and you have the budget. Do it. Create that solid foundation from the beginning to build upon. If you're just starting out and you don't have the budget, don't do it. DIY it. Do not break the bank, get a loan, feel stressed out. We never want that. DIY it. It's totally okay. When you have the money to be able to reinvest in your business, go ahead and do that and create that strong foundation. If you're starting your business from the beginning and you have the budget to be able to work with a professional brand designer, but maybe you've heard a friend or somebody say you could DIY it. I could do it on this program. You will end up regretting it later. It will end up meaning rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding, which takes so much time and ends up costing so much more money in the long run, not only because of what you're spending on each of those in-between designers, but because of the amount of time that you're not able to immediately charge that higher price point. So if you have that budget in the beginning, build that solid foundation to build from. I liken it a lot to the Three Bears, and it being the house being built out of straw and then wood and then brick. If you have the option to build your house from brick from the beginning, build it, because you're going to be able to build that to the second tier, to a third tier, to a fourth tier. You cannot do that on straw. It is going to collapse and you're going to have to rebuild. If we even use my company for an example, when I first started this company, it was an Etsy shop. I designed a logo, I threw it up there, and then after about 8 months to a year, I was like, wow, okay, no, I can't do this. I can't just throw up a logo. I've got to actually build out my brand. Well, I was so stressed about not having a website up that I was like, okay, I'm going to design this logo, just the logo part, right? Okay, there's intent in the logo. But I'm going to focus all of my time on my website and build out my website. I did that, and then come last December, last winter, I was like, you know what? This isn't working. Third time rebuilding the house. Telling you, wasting time, so much of it, Build it from the beginning. I went through my own process that I walk my clients through, that I never took the time to walk my own business through. I was able to answer my own questionnaire, build out my own brand playbook, and give myself that solid foundation to build from. So if you have the budget when you're just starting out to build that solid foundation, do it so that you are not spending those subsequent years rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding. Those are the 5 ways that you can tell that it is time to hire a professional brand designer for your business. As a quick recap, number 1 is when you see a discrepancy between your skill and your brand. Number 2 is when you are feeling so overwhelmed learning all the programs and trying to DIY it. Number 3 is that you're wanting to charge more and you're just tired of those DIY prices that go along with that DIY look. Number 4 is that you just don't have time. You're a busy woman, you're running your business, you don't have time for this. Number 5 is that you're starting out and you have the budget to build that solid foundation from the beginning. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos, and pop in the comments and tell me, what questions do you have about hiring a professional brand designer? Let me answer them for you, and I'll see you next time.